The former royal figure Sarah Ferguson has found herself at the centre of renewed scrutiny in the year 2025. Her ex-husband, Prince Andrew, has seen his royal titles effectively removed, his lease on the family home, the vast 30-room royal lodge in Windsor, terminated, and his reputation left in tatters amid his long-standing association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Sarah Ferguson now faces collateral damage. Charities are cutting ties, her brand is under question, her title usage is being revised, and she is reportedly being approached for a tell-all interview, possibly worth a six-figure sum.
Sarah Ferguson considers offers for a tell-all TV interview, a six-figure sum on the table for a first chat after losing her title.
Why this matters? A high-profile interview of this kind by someone so closely connected to the royal institution, someone who was once inside its inner circle, carries potential ramifications for how the monarchy is perceived, how stories of privilege and power are told, and how accountability is handled in the upper echelons of British life. Sarah Ferguson's story begins in a privileged British family, but her life trajectory changed dramatically when she married Prince Andrew in 1986. Entering the royal fold as a vibrant young woman, she quickly became a fixture in tabloid culture, celebrated for her charisma and heralded as a fun royal counterpart to Andrew's naval persona. Behind the public facade, pressures were already mounting, the demands of royal duty, the glare of media attention, and a sense of being trapped between identity and institution. Their marriage eventually struggled, culminating in separation in 1992 and divorce in 1996. Even after divorce, the association with royalty persisted, co-parenting their daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, engaging in charity work, writing children's books, and maintaining a public profile. But beneath the surface, vulnerability and tension were building, foreshadowing the later storm. After the divorce, Sarah Ferguson's financial troubles became headline news. Debt, controversial business ventures, and the infamous 2010 incident, in which she was caught offering access to Prince Andrew in exchange for money, undermined her public image. The monarchy, ever sensitive to reputation, began to distance itself. The protective royal cushion grew thinner. For Sarah, the dual identity of ex-royal and public figure became harder to sustain. The glamour collided with the cost of visibility. At the same time, her attempts at reinvention, children's books, media appearances, charity roles, began to feel brittle. The cracks weren't only in commerce or finance, they were in the social contract of what it meant to be associated with royal privilege. The second major arc centres on Prince Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein, and how Sarah Ferguson became entangled in the collateral damage. In 2025, a leaked email from 2011 surfaced, in which Ferguson reportedly described Epstein as a supreme friend, despite having publicly claimed to have severed ties. That revelation triggered serious consequences. Major UK charities cut ties with Ferguson, citing the inappropriateness of her remaining as a patron. In parallel, Andrew officially relinquished his Duke of York title and other honours. Sarah, in turn, removed Duchess of York from her social media identity and was forced to revise her public persona. Within that conflict lies the question, what did she know? When did she know it? Did proximity equate to awareness? And if so, what must she now disclose? For Sarah Ferguson, the moment of reckoning is no longer hypothetical. Now we come to the key turning point. Sarah Ferguson is reportedly weighing six-figure offers for a televised, reveal-style interview. According to recent reports, she is considering the proposal as a way to reshape her narrative, to reclaim agency in a story where she feels she has been sidelined. The timing is critical. With her brand compromised, charities gone, social titles changing, and her home at Royal Lodge requiring relocation, this interview offers a path to either redemption or further exposure. Experts quoted in the media suggest she is massively on edge and panicking about her future. For viewers and royal watchers, the question becomes, if she proceeds, what will be the terms? Will she offer clear answers, half-truths, or explosive new revelations? The structure of the interview becomes the battleground for her legacy. Let's build toward that core moment. Imagine the lights of the studio, the camera poised, the host asking the defining question. What did you know about Andrew's activities, and what was your role behind the scenes? Sarah Ferguson begins with the conventional line, I was unaware of the full extent of his actions. I regret any association I had with Epstein. I believed I was protecting our daughters and our family. But then the tone shifts. She reveals a nuanced set of admissions, discussions she overheard, emails she deleted after legal counsel, moments she chose not to act because of her faith in the institution. She admits, "I accepted that in the world we inhabited there were boundaries I did not cross, and maybe that was my blind spot." In this revelation, she insists she never had knowledge of abuse or wrongdoing at that level. But she acknowledges that the system around her failed to protect the vulnerable and failed to ask the hard questions. She says, "Being close to power sometimes means you are also close to silence." This moment becomes the crux of the story. It is not only about wrongdoing, it is about institutional complicity, the cost of silence, and the human toll of claiming innocence while inhabiting proximity. If the interview airs, this becomes the turning point for Sarah Ferguson's public identity. Immediately after the interview, the ripples are swift. Media outlets dissect every nuance. Royal commentators weigh the damage, charities and organizations reassess affiliation, and the monarchy braces for after-effects. For Sarah Ferguson personally, if her admissions are taken as genuine, she may gain public sympathy, regain narrative control, and open new pathways, book deals, speaking engagements, and renewed interest. But if audiences view the interview as calculated, opportunistic, or thinly disguised damage control, the opposite occurs: deeper brand erosion, severed relationships, and reputational exile. For the monarchy, the interview threatens to open another front of scrutiny. A former insider speaking candidly, or partially, invites questions. What else was known? What else was suppressed? How does the Crown respond when those close to it step outside the curated narrative? For the wider public conversation, the story touches on themes of privilege, accountability, consent, and power. It asks, when someone has access to power and when they remain silent or complicit, what does it say about the systems they inhabit? What is the moral cost of proximity? This is not only the story of Sarah Ferguson, it symbolizes the broader tension between image and institution, between the individual and the collective, between the polished public persona and the messy private reality. It reveals how the royal system, designed to project continuity and discretion, may falter in a world demanding transparency and integrity. It underscores how being in the inner circle is not simply a privilege, it is a position of risk, silence, and obligation. For Sarah Ferguson, the interview is more than personal catharsis. It acts as a mirror to what the monarchy stands for, how it allows or forbids dissent, and how it manages legacy when the veneer cracks. It forces the viewer to ask, does royalty protect or isolate the individual? And what happens when the protective mechanisms fail? So, where do we go from here? If Sarah Ferguson proceeds with the interview, we can expect further fallout, renewed legal scrutiny into ties with Epstein, clearer public statements about her role, and more aggressive media interrogation of the royal family's responsibility. If she declines or postpones, it may signal that damage control has won, that the system still holds the cards, and that the story will continue to simmer rather than break. Her next steps could involve relocation, retreat from public life, or a pivot to a lower-profile path. Either way, this moment is a fork in the road. One path leads to reinvention and a possible new public identity, the other to faded relevance and lingering scandal. The viewer should remain alert. The question is not only, will she speak, but what will speaking cost and who will benefit?